Good afternoon. Yes, Casper. You want to go inside your bed? Go sit in your bed. If anyone is online, please say hi. And okay. So, if anyone is watching on Facebook, just send me a message so I can see whether it appears on my. Hi, Judy. Oh, cool. This is working on Facebook too. Okay, good. So I'm just checking whether I'm seeing the messages on my OBS software as well. Um, so that's good to see that I can see Facebook messages. Hopefully, if somebody is watching on YouTube, if they message in, I can see that message as well. So what I'm doing today is I'm decorating platters, and I have some very new shapes and new forms. As you can see, this is some really new work for me, and I don't know why I'm doing this live. I guess I've been procrastinating doing this, and I thought if I do it live, I'll at least get it done. And I'm procrastinating because I feel like I don't want to spend too much time doing it and then regret what I have done. But I said, well, if I'm doing it online, I guess it's fine. So, um, I am going to start. I'm going to do a simpler pattern on this one. Well, kind of simple. These have been painted with underglazes, and the platters might look really thick and heavy, but they really are not. The rims that you see, which are these huge pillow forms, they are um, completely hollow. So the platter is not as heavy as you might think it is. It's not like it's feather light either, but I kind of wanted to create that volume of pillows. Can you all hear me well? Say yes if you can, because I'm never sure whether my mic is picking up the sounds properly. I think it is. And hopefully the views are good. I know one view is of just me working, and the other one you can actually see the details of the work. Okay, good, Judy. Thanks for the feedback. It's really hard to tell what's going on the other end. Means I can watch my own video, but then I cannot work because then I'm watching a video. Okay. So, okay. I like the way that's coming out. There's going to be more detail added on. You know how I am. it's never enough to do just a little bit. And other details, I think I'm going to add after misfiring the piece. Hello, hi Ellen. Glad you could join us through YouTube. And I'm glad you like my work. And you love my work, which is even better, right? So I'm decorating. These are some completely new platter forms which I have made. And um, like I said earlier, I have no idea why I'm doing it live. I should be really nervous about it, but I think I was getting more nervous about doing it sitting alone. So I said, you know what? I need some company. And maybe with some company, I won't think about it too much and I'll just get it done. And it might come out better than even what I envisioned. Oh, thank you, Judy. Yeah, it's been years of practice, as with your craft too. It takes time, and then you just get good at it. So it's kind of very hard to explain to people when they ask you how long did it take you to decorate something, because now we are live. You're seeing the speed with which I decorate. Um, I'm sure many people still find me like, this is really fast. Hi, Raquel. But the fact is, it took me a very long time to get even this fast, and it's particularly not fast, but you know, it's fine. And as you see, people think I make a whole checkered pattern first or something, or draw lines to make perfect squares or something. I don't. I just go freehand and hopefully it all works out. Thank you, Lorraine. I really don't know if the shade of blue that's appearing on my screen is more like a bluish green, whereas this is more like a dark blue. It's not a dark blue, it's like a bright blue. So the shade in the picture is coming out different, and of course, once I glaze it, it's going to be totally different. So it's kind of like a background color, and after the texture and the other color details get added on, the color significantly changes. Or it's kind of like, when you see woven cloth, or if you have ever woven anything, you would know that, you can start with one color yarn in the warp, and then as soon as you put the other color in the weft, the main color changes. So it's kind of like that kind of effect you get when you add in another layer of texture on the piece. And yeah, so this is partially done. I will be adding more textures and colors, and you can see, let me see if I can show the bigger picture. Okay, it's looking bright blue in your picture. That's good. Yeah, colors are always off. So anyway, this is one platter, and then the other one, which I honestly don't know how I'm going to decorate uh, because of its shape. It's This is my favorite color, a bright red, and again, big, thick, juicy rims on this, but it's all hollow. So With glazing, almost every color changes. And yes, some change more than others. The thing with underglaze, what this red color is this, at least I know it'll be some shade of red. It's definitely going to change the shade of red, but it's again not going to be the exact same color. So that's an underglaze. How an underglaze differs from a glaze is kind of, the functional glaze that you apply over the piece. That looks completely different in its raw form, and once it's fired, it's completely different. Like the yellow glaze that you see on my work is actually a dark brown when I apply it. Only once it gets fired, it's a chemical reaction which changes the color and it turns it into the light honey yellow color. So it's all chemistry. So it involves just a whole lot of testing and figuring out, what works and what doesn't work. While I'm chatting with you, I'm thinking as to how to decorate this because there are certain angles I like to work in, and I might have to rig up something. You're going to see it happen live. And I don't even know if I can make it work, but we'll see. Okay, let's do that. Um, and I want to keep it at an angle like that. Okay, I'm sorry you won't be able to see the angle. I don't know how best to do it. Yeah, there is kind of no easy way to show this to you, but or maybe you can see it this way. How about that? See, I'm being so considerate. Rather than just finishing my work, I'm more concerned as to whether you can see it or not. So I will have to go a little off screen. You won't be able to see my face, but at least you can see the decoration part. How about that? So let's try that. Okay. Okay, can you see this? Is it focusing? There. So I'm just going to decorate because if I keep stopping and trying to focus on the camera, I might mess up, which is not going to be fun. If y'all have any other questions, do let me know. I'm making this work for the Edmonds Arts Festival, which is coming up pretty soon, and I might not even have these platters ready to take on Thursday for setup, but I think they'll be ready by Friday for sure. The weather is pretty warm, so stuff should dry fairly fast. But because these forms are so complex with so many parts and so many attachments to it, I don't want to speed dry the piece either. So I know I've always regretted stuff like that. So that is one side partially done. I think I'll just finish the whole side completely so I don't have to keep flipping around the piece again and again. So when I'm finishing up the detail is basically I'm adding more of these curly cues to fill in out all the empty spaces with tiny curves and dashes, whatever it takes. And it really transforms the piece a lot at this point because the decorations might seem very simple, but it adds a lot of complexity. And in my mind, is there a pattern that I'm drawing in particular? Not really. I'm just kind of going with what I think will look aesthetically pleasing. And of course, it's come with a lot of years of practice that I sometimes kind of just know that, well, I think a line there would be a lot more appealing, or, you know, or it's like that kind of curve looks much nicer than the other kind of curve. So there's a lot of that what goes on. And that's just come from years of experience. There is no school in which in which I learned how to do this. And the fun part is just experimenting. And you will not know whether you're good or bad at it until you start trying it. Believe me. Because when I saw these kinds of patterns, like this is not a pattern I've, made myself. It's I've kind of seen stuff like this and not really tried to imitate those patterns, but like I'd seen it in like iron gates and things like that. So, they had the wrought iron gates, and I just, and I think they were in India, and I did see some patterns like this in embroidered pieces in India, which is where majority of my inspiration comes from. So, and Lorraine, wasn't it your birthday recently? I don't know if you're still online watching, but I thought I had seen birthday wishes. So if I missed out, wish you a very happy birthday. So I'm live on Twitch as well as on Facebook and on YouTube. So whichever platform you are on, feel free to say hi, ask questions. I don't have an agenda really. I really need to decorate these platters. That's what my agenda is. So I know you're seeing the bottom of the platter. I'm sorry, it's just the angle. I have to keep changing every now and then to get to the tight curves. But you can see it took me quite some time to decorate just one side. It is very elaborate, but I love it. I do. I do. I do. I do. Okay, now I think I'm gonna do the other side and hopefully not mess up anything. What should I do? Should I just move the platter instead of the board? Okay. Let's do that. Enjoying your mug on the lazy morning. Oh, I want lazy mornings. Um, no, it's this Wednesday is going to be exactly a year since we had Casper in our life. Casper, my wonderful dog, and ever since we have had him, no regrets, but we I haven't had a lazy morning. Um, 5:30, 6 sharp, have to get up. No ifs about it. No lazing around. Maximum I think I went to was 7 once. But it's different in the winter. In the winter, he doesn't want to get up. He's like, but then I really want him to get up at least by 7:30 because, I have to drop my wife to the transit center and all of that. So things need to be done. So he needs to get up early enough. But in the winter, he does laze a little bit, but at the same time, that time the laziness doesn't work for me. Yes, they do insist we get up on time. And I'm glad, thanks to him, um, I'm going on regular walks every day. I used to go on walks earlier too, but it was definitely not every single day. There were definitely lazy days. There were lazy weekends. Weekends are usually always lazy. But after having him, there is no choice, which is good. I think this side I'm making the pattern. The swirls are a little different than what they were on that side. I don't know why sometimes this happens. I'm sorry I've changed the angle again, but I have to move things. Decorating this stuff is definitely not straightforward. So I see recently there is another artist who's been doing slip decoration, very much like the henna patterns that I do. And I'm not saying they're copying my work or anything. It's patterns are different, and I'm not the first person who put slip on a pot. People have been doing it for a while, but I've been seeing their videos, which is really nice. A nice control of the tools. Those knobs out here, no, it's not for sitting. So this is a first time I'm trying this kind of shape. I've not even tried this shape before. And the pillow rims are a first for me as well. So those knobs actually are going to get holes in them, and so that they will get a hole in them, and then a wire will get attached to it, so they can hang on the wall, which is um, more important to me. And I think they will look decorative too, almost like feet, but they are not the feet of the platter. The platter is going to sit on the complete bottom of the piece. And I thought about, usually I do have like a wire or something, like I have feet for my platters, and that's where I run my wire through. But this piece was landing up being, on the heavier side because of the heavy rim. And I said, if it's sitting on 4 feet, there are more chances of it warping. And I didn't want to take the chance of losing the piece just because, I wanted to put feet. Yeah, the pillow rims are fun, but believe me, I made enough of these pillow shapes to make like maybe 7 platters or so, and I landed up with only 2 platters. So that's another answer for people who ask, how long did it take you to make this? You have to plan making for 10 so that you can make at least 2. That's how long it takes. Yeah, and then of course making a pillow form, I've been doing that for a while, so that part wasn't the hard thing. For me, the harder part was attaching that pillow form to my base platter, and then what do I do for the edges? And I hope these edges stay together. That's really important because if it doesn't, then all this work is of no use. Well, I would have learnt enough from it, I guess, but I need some finished pieces for a show. So, at least after this video, I'll know exactly how long it took me to decorate the rim. The one thing I've realized from making these videos is really how long it takes me to make stuff. Not that I didn't know already, but really down to the minute. And then you think, yep, you really don't get paid as much. Hey, Anne, looking forward to our lunch on Wednesday. Wednesday, right? Yeah, Wednesday. Today's Monday. And you know what? Wednesday is Casper's birthday too. It's gonna be 1 year since we had him. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing there. Yes, tofu time. And when I told Rima that, I'm going for lunch on Wednesday, she was like, what kind of a parent are you leaving your son on his first birthday all alone at home? The guilt is already whining out there. The angle, I really need these angles to be just right of the platter so I can decorate it properly. So by Wednesday, I hope that these pieces are in the kiln, but who knows? It's highly likely that you might still get to see them, unfinished, of course. when you come visit, Anne. So, and you know how much I value your opinion. And like you said, I don't listen anyway, but I do value it. Okay, so that is that. Three sides done. Let's move on to the very last side. Wouldn't it be crazy if I dropped the platter while decorating live on Facebook? Yes, I'm very nice that way. And if other people who are watching, Anne is a friend of mine who I've known since I first started taking pottery classes. We took classes together at at a co-op in Tacoma. That co-op doesn't exist anymore, but we both joined the same class years and years ago. Actually, in 2000 or 2001. I think it was 2001. Or end of 2000 is when I joined the class, and I still have pieces from my first throwing class. Okay. Dip your finger in the wet slip. Oh, I have done that, and but I have gotten used to the fact of holding my tool with both my hands, uh, which some people have seen me do and think that that's kind of weird. Why would you know, it's not a heavy tool that you need two hands for. I'm like, it's to keep the other hand away so I don't mess up my decoration. Actually, it's not just that, it's really also stabilizes my hand when I'm doing decorations. So there's more than one reason. And maybe it's also the reason why I don't stick my hand in the slip that much. Ah, okay. Now the only thing left in this piece is to make the holes for those knobs where I can hang, where where I can put the wire on and it can hang. Okay, that goes off from there. So, can you see it now? You can pull it back. There, that's the platter. So I like the way how the edges are. Um, it's it's sealed. It might look like there are cracks where the seams are, but that's how I wanted. I wanted that fabric fold happening there, and that's how it looks. If you really look deep down in that crack, yes, you're gonna see some scratch marks or whatever. Um, I don't know how people will take it, but we can hope it is fine. All we can hope for. And then yeah, that would be, and then there will be more. I'm going to be adding a little bit more color on the inside. Well, thank you, Anne. You might get to see this in person. How cool is that? Yes, there is a pattern on the inside as well. It's a much subtle pattern. It's not crazy, but I am going to be adding the red color accent to that pattern, but very slight, not much. Okay, and I do have some other patterns to do. I have other platters to decorate, some smaller platters. Now these I think shouldn't take much time, but you know what happens usually is the pieces that you think which will not take time, they take more time. And I'm almost running out of slip. So this is something new that I'm trying, and I'm not going to talk about it much right now because I don't even know what exactly I'm going to land up doing, but we'll see. It has the like the underglaze, under the underglaze as well there is some texture. So I don't know how the slip is going to even attach to the piece with that underlying texture. The idea is mostly from seeing woven fabric. So how you have, one particular color, but you can add texture to it and pattern and add another layer of color and it changes things. So that is what the plan is. So that is there. Let me do this one. Do I have enough slip? I don't have enough slip. Okay, so I'm going to fill up my slip cone. You can see me do it. I have a YouTube video as well on how I fill my um, cones. I fill up my syringe with slip and then make a cone out of mylar paper, giving away all my secrets. So that's my mylar paper, which I form into a cone, and I tape it close. Sorry, my tape is not here. Close by. So that's my cone, and here is the slip, which goes in the cone. Bye and see you on Wednesday. Okay, the textiles. Yes, you love my relationship with the work to fabric and other textiles. Yeah, for me, it just comes so naturally. Like when I'm looking for ideas on surface decoration or even forms as such, like many people look at other ceramic forms for inspirations. There is nothing wrong with that. And I, you know, there are artists who look like at sea forms. There are people who look, who's it, Judy Tower, the other Judy, who has these almost sea-like textures in the pieces. So you can look at many different things in nature. For me, it's fabric is what has always fascinated me. The texture, the color, and everything. So yeah. Um, So yeah, it kind of comes very naturally to me to think in terms of fabric and decorate that way. I love it when things are easier. So yeah, the inspiration comes a lot more from fabric for me, and even when I'm watching movies or something, I'm looking at fabric and the color combinations. There's just so much inspiration just out there. And then, of course, the next challenge after that comes as to how do you translate that into clay. So there's that platter. These are small, almost like salad plates. These are not platters, but you know what I mean. And also, I find it very interesting how, embroidered and printed fabric is, and when that fabric is used for making clothing, what happens in that part of the process is how things, how the pattern gets cut off within the folds of the fabric or wherever, you have a curve or a texture. And yeah, it is just like stitches. So it's just kind of thinking in that way, like even when I'm decorating, I have kind of keep that in mind that um, I'm imagining it is cut at a curve. So how is my pattern going to change in that process? And as you can see, I very rarely go back, and if I made a boo-boo in my pattern, I let it be. I don't go ahead and correct it. Like you can see that dot out there. I'm going to leave it there for now, and hopefully it'll all get worked up in the design and I don't have to think about it. It's only if I have done something crazy like, smear my finger all across the piece that I'll be like, okay, fine, this needs to be cleaned up and redone. Okay. So, So where was that boo? It's there, it's still there. I'm just gonna leave it there. These are all small things which confirm the fact that the piece was handmade, and I really, there is perfection in pieces, which is always good, but it's not always the hard fast rule, that there are levels of perfection, I guess. Okay, I can't think of a pattern. What do I do here? Any ideas, people? It's already paisley shape. I could do more swirls. The swirls are always popular, and I do like doing them. Let's just pick the swirls. Nice big gigantic swirls. So I first make big gigantic swirls, kind of like a template, and then I'll go in and fill up all the empty spaces with tiny curves. There. I might do some other kind of texture and pattern on the center. Don't like empty spaces. I do have one other platter to decorate, a bigger platter. This is one of the wall hanging ones. So kind of have painted it part way. And I'm not 100% sure how I want this to turn out. Like, no, like, uh, let's see. Sorry for mumbling. Always hard to follow a line for me. But I'm doing pretty well. And even in places where I'm not following the line, that's fine. Yeah, I do paisleys a lot. Um, it's just that on those forms, the shape of the platter is already a paisley, so I'm kind of like that'll be paisley overload. Not that a paisley overload is a bad thing, but you know, I sometimes want to stay away from paisleys. Not stay away, but not overdo them in one piece. If the shape is paisley, that's good enough. That's what I mean. I'm sorry if I'm mumbling a lot while working and losing track of thought as to what I was talking about, because that can happen. But this pattern, I know it, I know what it is in my head that I had seen, and I'm not really trying to recreate that, but it's definitely like a shape and a texture which I was like, okay, I need to try that on slip. And you kind of must have seen something similar like this that I did on a previous platter. But essentially, this kind of circle with these lines coming out from it has come about from my recent adventures in trying crochet. And so, you have those crochet patterns in which you make a loop, and then in that loop, you make these 10 or 20 treble crochets or something, and the whole thing like fans out like a semicircle, and then you make further designs on it. So I really like the way how those textures come about. Now, if I told someone that, yeah, I'm making a crochet pattern, this is not a crochet pattern, but the inspiration definitely is. So it's always nice to indulge in other crafts, Like, I'm not making any knitting or crochet work to sell or make money out of, but it provides for such good inspiration and ideas when I'm working with the clay. So it might not directly translate, but there are always small nuances that you pick up from these different hobbies. So I do like that. It is simple. It's not overly done. I already have some overly done platters like you saw earlier, so I think I'll be fine with keeping this one simple. Notice that I said I think I will be fine because there is an always possibility to add more color and texture. Should I? Feel so tempted. Looking too empty. What should I do though? Mm-mm. Ooh, I like that. Can you see that? Can you see that? I like the way that came out. Like, it's not perfectly symmetrical, it's kind of organic, and it's not highlighted with crazy colors, but it has something which kind of speaks to the rest of it. It's hard for me to explain. It kind of looks like, like the tatting flowers. So slip needs to flow like really smooth for something like that to happen. And yes, I'm sorry, because what I'm going to land up doing is I think I'm going to land up filling some color into the rest of it. I know simple is nice, but sometimes simple is very hard for me to avoid too. Less is more. There. Ooh, I'm liking this. I have never done this before, believe it or not. Like this particular pattern, I'm really just winging it. So some are coming out big, some are coming out small, which is fine. I like the randomness of that. I would like it though if this when the slip flows nice and evenly, the pattern just comes out so much nicer. And I'm not very particular that every petal needs to be the same size. I'm kind of liking the randomness of that as well. It looks like a very 70s print actually. That's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of 70s print. See, I lost my rhythm there. See, these are the cases when I will clean it up. And there is no color underneath it, so it's easy cleanup, no issues. Yeah, that was, see, when my cone starts getting a little empty, it the slip doesn't flow that smooth, so I need to keep tightening up my cone. There. Right. Okay, and then I think we'll do one there, there. Those are just reference dots I'm making as to where I want to put. When the cone gets small, the slip just doesn't flow that smooth. But it's fine. And this is the last platter that I'm doing. That's another reason why I'm getting tired too. So, but I like it. I do like it. Yeah. So there we go. It does look very 70s. Big floral pattern. Oh well. Something new all the time. So anyway, all these pieces are getting ready for the Edmonds Arts Festival. Anyone here from Washington who is going to drop by, do come by. have a look at the finished pieces there. I do hope I get a chance to take pictures of these before I take them to the show, because I would like to get pictures of this stuff. I think they'll come out good. And yeah, I have. Let me show you the condition of my studio if you'd like to see. Thank you, Judy. Those are the vases that are in progress. That's the other blue platter that I did, the red one which I just finished. And you can see the other red platter peeping out from there. The mugs, never ending mugs. Those are the other 5 platters I did. So I can take a little bit of a break and then I need to do some packing. There are orders I need to ship out. So thank you very much for joining in, and I shall see you all next time.